Hello and welcome to another video. Today we'll be taking a look at the Russo-Japanese War from 1904 to 1905. We'll be taking a look at who was involved, what their ambitions were, how it came to the war, what were the changes after the war. We'll take a look at some literature about the war, and we'll see that there are quite a few quotes about the war. So, now, first of all, let's look at who was involved and their ambitions. First of all, we have the Russian Empire. They wanted to expand their influence in East Asia to enhance its global power status. They wanted to secure access to warm water ports on the Pacific Ocean, particularly Port Arthur, which would be ice-free all year. They wanted to establish control over Manchuria and Korea to ensure economic gains from resource-rich regions and strategic military positioning. Also, they wanted to demonstrate military prowess and deter other nations from challenging Russian interest. On the other side, we have the Japanese Empire. They wanted to establish themselves as a dominant power in East Asia and challenging Western colonialism and imperialism. They wanted to secure control over Korea and Manchuria to access vital natural resources and new markets for its growing industrial economy. Additionally, they wanted to counteract Russian expansion to protect its sovereignty and strategic interests. The last point is that they wanted to demonstrate their military modernization and capacity to rival Western powers. Now, let's look at how it came to the war. Let's look at the background tensions first. Both Russia and Japan had competing interests in Korea and Manchuria, leading to a clash over dominance in the region. Russia's presence in Manchuria after the Boxer Rebellion in 1900 and its reluctance to withdraw despite agreements heightened Japanese concerns. Japan's rapid modernization and military buildup posed a direct challenge to Russian ambitions in the Far East. What were the immediate triggers? There were diplomatic negotiations between Russia and Japan over their respective spheres of influence in Korea and Manchuria, but they failed to reach a compromise. Russia's expansionist policies and slow withdrawal from Manchuria were perceived as a direct threat to Japanese security and interests. On February the 8th, 1904, Japan launched a surprise naval attack on the Russian fleet at Port Arthur, marking the beginning of open hostilities. What were some changes after the war? First of all, we had the Treaty of Portsmouth. It was brokered by US President Theodore Roosevelt, earning him the Nobel Peace Prize in 1906. Russia recognized Japan's paramount political, military, and economic interests in Korea. Japan gained control over the leased territories of Port Arthur and the Liaodong Peninsula. The southern half of Sakhalin Island was ceded to Japan, while Russia retained the northern part. Russia agreed to evacuate Manchuria, which was returned to Chinese sovereignty. What was the geopolitical impact? Well, the war marked the first major victory of an Asian power over an European power in modern times, altering global perceptions of Japan and its military capabilities. Japan emerged as a significant imperial power in East Asia, with increased influence over Korea and Manchuria. The defeat significantly weakened the Russian Empire, contributing to political and social unrest that culminated in the 1905 Russian Revolution. The war highlighted the importance of modern military tactics and technology influencing future conflicts and military strategies worldwide. Let's look at some domestic consequences next. In Japan, the victory fostered a sense of national pride and further militarization, setting the stage for its future expansionist policies. In Russia, however, the war exacerbated internal discontent, leading to demands for political reforms and contributing to the weakening of Tsarist autocracy. Now let's take a look at some literature. First up, we have non-fiction literature. The Russo-Japanese War, 1905 to 1905. 1904 to 1905 by Geoffrey Jukes, a detailed account of the war, its battles, and its implications for both Russia and Japan. Next up, The Rising Sun, The Decline and Fall of the Japanese Empire, 1936 to 1945 by John Toland. It contains sections on the Russo-Japanese War, providing context for Japan's military strategies and ambitions. Next up is the Russo-Japanese War in Global Perspective, World War Z, edited by John W. It explores the global impact over the war and its role as a precursor to larger conflicts in the 20th century. Now I also have two fiction books. First of all, Tsushima by Frank Thies. It's a historical novel that dramatizes the pivotal naval battle of Tsushima, providing insights into the experience of those involved. The last book I have to offer is Cloud of Sparrows by Takeshi Matsuoka. While not directly about the Russo-Japanese War, it provides cultural and historical context relevant to the era. Now, last up, I have some quotes for you. First up, from Theodore Roosevelt. The most important factor in getting the peace was the Japanese desire for peace and willingness to show moderation. It reflects the role of diplomatic negotiations and Japan's pragmatic approach to ending the conflict. The second to last quote that I have is from Admiral Togo Haihachiro. The fate of the empire rests on this one battle. Let every man do its utmost. It highlights the critical importance of the Battle of Tsushima and the determination of Japanese forces. The last quote I have is from Leo Tolstoy. War is so unjust and ugly that all who wage it must try to stifle the voice of conscience within themselves. It offers a philosophical perspective on the nature of war and its moral implications relevant to both the Russo-Japanese War and broader conflicts. Thank you for listening and see you next time.